Hospitality for me is anticipating customer needs, make them feel comfortable and relaxed. Our job is to give them memories that they can carry with them after the meal is over.
I think the benchmark of great hospitality is being able to be yourself in a space, understanding people for who they are. Intentions come through really naturally.
It's about making sure that the customer doesn't feel that they're just being served, but they're being looked after. You make them feel welcome. I try to deliver that each and every time. My personality shines behind this counter. A lot of people come to the village specifically to come to this bar. I have built something very special. I'm doing something right if they're coming back year after year. My name is Margaret. I run O'Loughlin's Irish Whiskey Bar here in Ballyvaughan. There's a lot of responsibility to continue in the tradition of my forefathers. I do feel that I'm a custodian for the next generation. I maintain the tradition that my forefathers built, but yet I adapt to the current economic situation as well. I run it so that it will be a viable business if some of the family take it over in years to come.
My name is Juba. I'm originally from Italy. I'm a general manager at Chapter 1 restaurant for the last 3 years. I started at 14. I went around restaurants and hotels, starting as a kitchen porter, assistant waiter, and then I became a waiter. I was very young. I don't know if it's that what I want to do for the rest of my life, but certainly I really fell in love with the industry from that very moment. I love this amazing chemistry between everybody. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing. The pots are on the stove, everything is boiling, everything is going. I love the energy, the sense of purpose.
My name's Lucy and I am the Assistant General Manager here at Lioness. Got into hospitality when I was 14. I worked in little tea rooms, like serving like old ladies, like teas and scones. That kind of taught me how to be hospitable, I suppose, like from the onset. Never really took it seriously as a career. It's just something like I really enjoyed doing, like alongside studying. An old partner of mine did a trial shift here. Just the like emotion that he had behind it and like how this place made him feel, like literally in like those 3 hours. I was like, I want to be involved. I want to get some of that. I kind of realized that I just enjoyed like being here and being around people like way more than I did writing my thesis. So here I am still.
So I'm Merly Kammerling. I am an integrative therapist, a therapeutic coach and founder of Well and Being. We offer education and psychological support to the hospitality industry. Before I had Well and Being, I was a chef for 10 years. I struggled emotionally and mentally for a long time. When I got into the kitchen, the lifestyle, the hours, the pressure, 16-hour shifts, doubles, pushing myself, I think, it had an impact on me which was negative. And so I really had to help myself. And I think that was when I decided to be able to facilitate others on this journey would be actually the most rewarding thing I can think of. So we're looking at 3 different establishments, 3 great hospitality professionals, and what it really means to them to be hospitable, how they display hospitality towards their guests and creating a guest experience, how we connect to others on a very human and primal, authentic level.
I've always kind of had this like real affinity for like the way that spaces can make you feel. It's what my thesis is on. It's all about like how architecture can shape your emotion and how it can also change how you interact with people. Like base level is like the color scheme and the textures and like the way in which the room is like set up. Like you have this like sweeping bar, you have the bar backlit, you have this familiar, unfamiliar like formation of the back bar. Conceptually is like a beautiful place to like start hospitality from. Then it's like an application of self. You put yourself within the space and then you work with it in order to deliver, a product, a feeling, an experience.
I was so impressed with Lucy's thesis around how spaces shape emotions, curiosity in working with Lioness and working in that space. Because actually I think that she has that curiosity for the connection between space and emotion, and evoking that in guests is almost like a superpower, that she finds that so valuable, and she is aware of how important that is on a conscious and an unconscious level for a guest. Individuals might have more of a visual sense or a kinesthetic sense, which is tactile, being, how things feel. There may be audio or olfactory, which is taste. Some things will make more of a difference to others. So that's why it's so important to get the sensory aspects of your service and your hospitality. These are the things that bond people to your brand and your environment and what you're offering.
The structure of a service is quite complex. The bookings are taken evenly throughout the whole period of service, in a way that the kitchen is not under pressure. The second step, it would be how the table plan is organized, in a way that when the guests are coming in, there is a little bit of energy in the room. Possibly one of the most important part is briefing before every service, who's coming, allergies, celebration. Then we move on after to the meet and greet. And what we like to do in here is a very genuine, warm welcome. And that moment for me is extremely important because I'm able to analyze our guest. The service is, at that stage, possibly the easiest part. Service is all about repetition, it's about training. In here we're on in-house training on how we like things to be done. How we clear table, how we put the dishes down, how we describe dishes, how we describe wines. So when the service actually starts, we're in a very strong position. The structure is there for you almost like a muscle memory. A service gets really, really busy. You're naturally performing without you knowing. Your own personality is where you bring the experience to another level. People, when they come in, they invest their own time and money to come in here. It's our duty to give memory to them.
Service is like black and white, and then like hospitality is like this like technicolor. So like you have to be mindless in the black and white, trust the operation and the system in order to then like deal with the like technicolor stuff. This is kind of translatable in wherever you are in the venue. Understanding what is like a non-negotiable. Once that is done and dealt with, you can have all the fun. You need to be like unquestionable in how you apply yourself, the standards of practice and the operations and procedures. And once you are unquestionable, like you have the trust to do whatever you want because like you've gained that trust.
Hospitality is about that guest wanting to engage in an experience from beginning to end. From the way they're greeted, they want to feel that they belong, they want to feel something. And I think that comes through not just the product that they're consuming itself, whether it be food, drink, but rather it's about the whole 360 of that treatment that they're seeking.
While I'm polishing the glasses with the linen cloth, I can scan the room and I can see what's going on, who's where. Is there anybody waiting for service, or is there somebody anxious to get to talk to somebody else? It's something that you develop over time. You get to understand people and their needs fairly quickly. It has been a bit of a shock to some people to see cocktails being shaken here at night time. Complements what I'm doing. It's just one part of my offering. It's also been a great talking point, I have to say. Every opportunity I get to talk to people, connect with people, is an opportunity for me to ensure that customers looked after, that they're comfortable where they are, they're getting the drinks that they want, and everything is hunky-dory. It's about making sure that the customer doesn't feel that they're just being served, but they're being looked after. That I can call them by name, acknowledge them when they come in that door, so you give them the 100,000 welcomes that Ireland has become infamous for. So I try to deliver that each and every time. And I always give the attention to the older people. You know, I don't make them feel awkward, especially, we'll say, an older woman. She'll say, an Irish coffee, I don't know what an Irish coffee is. I'll say, I'll give you a small one if you'd like a small one. It has to be perfect. So I give them a small Irish coffee. It makes a memory for them.
I love the fact that Margaret would use those really mundane moments, although it's really necessary to wash the glasses and polish them. Using that as an opportunity to really engage the room, I think it's almost like an orchestra. So everyone's doing something different, but you're trying to bring an overall harmony to the room. And Margaret even says that she wants to evoke this sense of you're welcomed and we're waiting for you. For Ireland itself as a nation, for Irish people, that's never been lost, and it's something that will never grow old, is to take care of others and make them feel welcome in establishments, which is really the basis of hospitality.
The food has to be perfect. The service has to be perfect. But then when you move to the next step, is where you start to touch into people emotion. That's where you hit the jackpot. I've seen people get really emotional over food. As a front of house, there is very little you can do for a guest. A chef can produce a very good food. The only thing you can give to a guest is yourself. And that's what people remember.
There's something that happens where we can see how that person or that group responds to something we have done. That helps you to identify how you see yourself, and that's human interconnectedness. And this is why connection is so important and profound to our human experience. That transaction comes from when we are hospitable to each other.
When I close the door at night, my husband often says, how'd you get on tonight? And I'd say, we had a great night. It's not about the transaction of the individual night, it was about how I feel the customers felt leaving the bar. So if they're happy going out that door, they will come back. So how do you do that? You have to make sure that it's a fun place to be. Everything you do has to be sustainable. It doesn't alter you, that doesn't change you, that you can run your life outside of this bar as well. I do have a rest every day for about 2 hours in the afternoon, and I'm always ready to rock, we'll say, from the time that I open that door. If you're tired, you cannot deliver.
When I come to work, the first thing I do, I walk the restaurant and I say hello to everybody. And that's how I sense people. Talking to them and give them space. To me, it is crucial that a waiter enter the dining room with 100% commitment and focus. The guest cannot pay the bill for somebody's emotions. My training is more about building professionals emotionally. We don't leave anybody behind. We try not to judge anybody, and that gives a lot of emotional strength, because when somebody feels secure about themselves, then they're able to deliver better.
I always say, like, you have to take it seriously to be taken seriously. This industry has like such a flippant nature sometimes, and it just like does you such a disservice when like this industry is actually like all about heart and being humble and humility and like human connection. To like reduce it down to like being so crass is like just so like unfortunate. And so like that doesn't really fly in this room, and I think we're really fortunate that we have like a team of people that do take it seriously and can take on that like emotional load in a way that feels quite unmanageable when it's like really, really busy.
I never go home and say to myself, today was 100%. I always go home and say, today was a good day, but how can we make it better? There is always somebody literally behind you. So if you stop because you think, you know what, we're running a good show in here anyway, let's continue doing what we're doing, before you even realize there is somebody ahead of you. The way to make it better is involving everybody. You listen to the staff, because ultimately the staff is the one that they're operating. Now, some ideas, they're wacky and they will never work. Most of them, they're very good.
You're always learning. You never stop learning. The day you stop learning, you die. I want my legacy to be that I built a great bar after my forefathers, that it was there for the taking for the next generation. And that is the name O'Loughlin is very important. That's what the O'Loughlin name stood for, and that's what I have to maintain as well. That's critically important, that I'm not different to the previous generations. I'm aligning with the previous generations. I'm doing exactly what they did. But of course, I hope that I do it my own way.
Part of being hospitable is no matter who you are, we'll always be here for you. If you're having a great day, a shit day, we'll always be here as a physical place for you to come. It's almost like what you expect from your parents. It's something that's so secure where we know we can come and feel at ease and be who we are. Human interconnectedness works with the guests, also works in a parallel with your staff, how appreciated you feel and your sense of dignity at work. If you're not treating your staff well, that will really impact how they feel about themselves and how willing they are to show up to work, but not only just to show up physically, but also show up for your guests and how they're going to treat your guests. Because if you don't care, they probably won't care either.